Hello, hello. Welcome to our inaugural Impact 100 London Grants Award ceremony. I can hardly believe that I'm saying that. And it's also hard to believe how nerve-wracking it is just sort of sitting in my house talking at my computer screen that I look at every day, but there you are. I'm Erica Wax, co-founder of Impact 100 London. I'm joined by Lainey Martin, my co-founder, and Anila Shuckberg, our membership chair. Thank you to everyone for joining us tonight. There are about 120 of us on this call, and over 100 of our founding members are with us, which is fantastic. So fingers crossed that everything runs smoothly. Hopefully we won't have any dogs jumping on laps or kids screaming, but you never know. Let's see how we go. This event is at the core of who we are: collective, democratic, informed, and strategic. Together, we will award significant grants to exceptional, under-the-radar charities that are making a difference in London, a city that we all love and where we all live and work. By pooling our funds, we can make a bigger impact than any one of us might have on their own. So to our founding members, it's thanks to you, we have exceeded our goals and expectations. Having just launched in February, a mere 3 months ago, although it does feel like a lifetime, we are so grateful that our model and our message resonated with you. We could have never imagined how important and how timely this initiative would be. And we are so grateful to be in a position to provide significant grants to charities doing essential work at this time. So tonight, you will hear directly from our finalists. They are the Change Foundation, the Girls Network, and Women's Trust. My colleagues and I feel incredibly privileged to have met each of these charities and are truly inspired by the commitment, resourcefulness, and care that they bring to the women and girls whom they serve. Throughout our due diligence process with each of these charities, we developed a relationship that was transparent, collaborative, responsive, and candid. Each of them has been impacted by COVID-19, and each has shown their resilience, creativity, and passion in the face of this crisis. They have all captured both our hearts and our minds. Each of these organizations will receive a level of funding tonight. Based on our collective vote, one will receive a £100,000 grant, and the other two will each receive a £15,000 grant. At the same time, you, our members, will have gained an awareness and understanding of who they are and who they serve. And over the summer, we'll be giving you more information on each of these charities and what each of us can do to help. So I'm now going to pass the virtual baton on to Lainey. Lainey?
Thank you, Erica. There's been an incredible amount of preparation for tonight's exciting event. Core to that preparation was the rigorous review process led by Liz Avazian and undertaken by our grants committee. The process resulted in the selection of our 3 finalists that you'll hear from tonight. We also had the assistance of Edie Lush, one of our founding members, who advised our finalists in the preparation of a 5-minute video, which we'll share with you tonight. These videos are a quick but powerful glimpse into each charity's passion and ethos, and the essential services that they provide to women and girls in London. They augment the executive summaries that you've already had the opportunity to review. This is why we all became members of Impact 100 London, to learn about the charities that are serving women and girls in London, and to use our collective resources to make a difference to each by be given a say in the selection of the recipient of our collective fund. This is going to be a difficult decision, I can assure you. Ultimately, there is no wrong answer. These charities have all undergone our rigorous review process. They are all worthy of this 100,000 grant award. And as you make your selection tonight, we ask that you remember the focus areas that we introduced to you earlier this month: purpose, impact, people, and finance. But as Erica said, vote with your head and with your heart. I can certainly assure you that each of us will be doing the same. Just a quick bit of housekeeping before I turn it over to Anila, who has the great privilege of introducing you to each of these charities. Every one of you should have received an email from Impact 100 London in the past half hour. It has your voting instructions. If you haven't, for any reason, received this, please just send us a quick message in the chat box and we can sort you out very promptly, because we want to make sure that everyone gets the opportunity to vote. Thank you, and I'll turn it over to Anila.
Thank you, Lainey. I will now introduce each of the 3 finalists' video presentations, followed by a short Q&A for each organisation, based on the questions submitted in advance by you, our membership. We will be keeping the question period strictly to 5 minutes. Our first presentation tonight is by the Change Foundation. The Change Foundation's mission is to use sport or dance as the main means to help marginalised youth improve their lives, as measured by training, further education, employment, better self-confidence, and improved social interaction and networks.
Hello everyone, I'm Nav, the director of the Change Foundation and the designer of the Dance for Change programme. I'm so excited and privileged to be able to share our story with you and present our video of Dance for Change. Thank you so much for watching. The Change Foundation is a sport for social change charity that works with really vulnerable groups of young people as young as 11 years old all the way up to the age of 25. And we deliver very targeted, bespoke programs that use sport and dance as the main tool for engagement for these young people. And we recruit and find these young people by being on the streets ourselves. And being a sports charity, we have been impacted directly by the coronavirus. We've adapted differently, and actually what COVID-19 has taught us is we have such a level of flexibility that we've been able to not only move our methods to be online and think of creative ways of engagement, like esports, like creating indoor adventure packs, but actually it's given us a further depth of connection to the young people that we work with. We look forward to being with our young people face to face again, but while this pandemic exists, we've been able to continue those connections, maintain that trust, and really brought a level of innovation out from the team, and to be able to tap into skills that perhaps we underused before. Our Dance for Change programme was a real catalyst in the development of our women and girls initiatives. It provided us with a platform to connect with some of the hardest to reach girls with quite complex lives and give them an opportunity to not only express themselves but be in a safe environment where they could learn to dance, meet new people, but also gain access to support and services that weren't intimidating but that were welcoming.
I got introduced to Change Foundation through a centre which I went to, which is called People Referral Unit. This centre is where they keep naughty kids at. They say the kids that is failing in school. So if you get expelled, if you get kicked out, or if there's any school that don't want you because of your behaviour.
Back in Australia, I was working for an organisation that did a similar thing. So when I mentioned that I'm moving over to London, a colleague of mine recommended I check out the Change Foundation. because I knew I wanted to continue work with marginalised youth.
8 years ago, while studying at university, I was scheduled onto a module which was teaching sports to individuals with a different need. From this class, I gained so much experience, and I was fortunate enough to get a lot of placements in schools, youth centres and sports clubs. And I just think when you're working with children and adults with a unique ability and learning style, you just learn every day, and it's just so special. And I love that every child and parent that we work with are different.
I first got involved with the Change Foundation when I was a young person living in a hostel, and it was recommended to me, so I joined Streetly and I joined Dance for Change. And I think years later I just thought, I have to be here, I have to work for these people that have helped me and so many others so much.
I grew up in a community predominantly made up of Indian and Pakistani families where girls were not allowed out after school or play sport. So I ended up playing sport with all the boys, and I was really isolated by the other girls in the community. But it just given me more determination to work with other girls and young women and provide equality through sport and dance.
I got involved as a young person on a programme called Team Habana, which was about youth leadership. The challenges that I faced in my life include not having the best start. So I had a lot of a tough time at school. I didn't get along well with some of the other kids, and I did face a bit of bullying. I was a little bit low in confidence and self-esteem, and I also didn't really have a lot of opportunities to progress into a career.
The challenges I faced in life, I faced so many challenges like everyone else, but the biggest one I'll say is when I first came over this country is colorism.
Personally, I dealt with a lot of identity issues, no sense of belonging and racism. Why and how the Change Foundation has helped me, I guess it's helped me realign back with my purpose of wanting to reach out and impact youth and young people that are dealing with these sorts of struggles.
Homelessness, I lived in a hostel, I was estranged from my family, I dealt with a lot of abuse, and yeah, I lacked a lot of guidance as well. And one thing that the Change Foundation has blessed me with is support, guidance, and with patience.
Everyone has a story, and it's those stories that go on to change the lives of other young people.
The team is brought together from different people from all walks of life.
The fact that they care.
The level of commitment.
80% of our staff members made up of young people.
They're always encouraging people to do better.
Thank you, Nav. It was great to hear from so many of your stakeholders and how you're all making a difference together. We have a couple of questions for you from our members. The first question I'll be asking of all charities, but could you tell me for the Change Foundation, what are the demographics of the girls supported by the Dance for Change programme?
Hello everyone. Hello Nila, thank you so much. So with Dance for Change, over the last 3 years, we've worked with about 100 girls and young women across London, specifically boroughs of Southwark, Lambeth, Islington, Hammersmith and Fulham. And a lot of the girls are from the BAME communities. And we recruited these girls and young women by working with a really wide network of referral agencies. So the child and family services of local authorities, looked after children teams, youth offending teams, other community services, young mums groups, as well as you would have seen from the video, a lot of the sort of work of the coach mentors with lived experiences being able to reach those groups themselves. So we reach out to those groups, and all of them really come to the programme with quite a number of complexities. They're suffering from a number of issues and have had to deal with quite a lot. Everything from some trauma, abuse, exclusion from school, and in some cases substance abuse, homelessness as well. So they're suffering quite a lot when they join us, and actually it's linked to the environments that they brought up in, they grow up in. And when they do arrive at Dance for Change, they're struggling with quite extreme low self-esteem. And actually they're sort of in this cycle of survival. Every day's survival. It's not living, it's I've got to do this, I've got to meet this, I've got to find this, I don't have this. So it's a cycle of survival. So it's no surprise that at one point that that cycle is going to have an impact on their mental health. But that's how we find our young women, and how we start to learn how we can work with them.
Thank you, thank you. Specifically on the Dance for Change programme, in your budget, you say that close to 30% of the project costs are for physical events, travel, venues, etc. If you have to move the whole programme online due to COVID-19, will the associated cost savings enable you to reach more women? And have you other options to transform or modify the model if social distancing persists?
Absolutely. Probably like the whole world at the moment, the last 3 months have taught us so much. And we've tested so many methods, from using Zoom, YouTube Live, Instagram Live. I've never made so many TikTok videos in my life at my age as well. So there's been a great deal of learning and adaptations that we've been testing, and had the opportunity in a crisis to test. And also I myself took part in a wellbeing day with 20 other women, where there were 3 workshops in the day. And before you arrived, you received a bit of a pack that highlighted what happened through the day, and it encouraged things like no screen time, no phones, quite neutral environment, healthy foods to eat throughout the day. And what it did was break 3 workshops of yoga, mindfulness and meditation, with breaks in between. And in between the breaks, you had smaller groups where you could hang out online and have some lunch together, or make some lunch together, have a tea or coffee together. And it was such an amazing experience that it gave us a great insight in how we can translate Dance for Change, because the early part of the programme, and how the programme starts once we've recruited the young women, is we all take part in a Dance for Change retreat, which is made up of a number of workshops that then lead to sort of a culmination and performance. And so we want to use that sort of online approach to be able to deliver the retreat, but try to create as best as we can quite a unique environment for Dance for Change. So we certainly have learned a lot from those experiences, but at the same time, you know, we look forward to being with the girls face to face, but with social distancing measures still in place, likely to be in place for a while. We have started planning what our work will look like with those social distancing measures in place. So everything from working in smaller groups, creating zones in particular for girls to be able to move and dance in, very regular washing hands breaks, and making it slightly more creative through dance in how we approach that, providing gloves and masks and all of those safety measures, particularly about if you are traveling with social distancing, what's the safest method for you to travel to a session as well. So ultimately, we have got a great plan to move our methods online, and we will be able to reach, I'm sure, more girls and young women. But what we intend to do really with that is hopefully try to look at Dance for Change as a movement, so it can be really organic and in inspiring other girls and young women as well. So we've been really looking at it as a project, but I suppose the wider reach that we will be able to have with online methods in this first year particularly, and using some of it moving on, is really translating it into a movement where the girls, and this is the feedback we get directly from them, where are the spaces that they can feel safe to talk, that aren't just sort of framed up for them or constructed for them? Where can they be free? And there's no freer way to express yourself through dance.
Wonderful. I was going to ask you whether you thought you were going to keep on any of the new practices, so to speak, that you've learned through this process, but it sounds as though you're definitely going to be doing that, certainly keeping a lot more of the programme online going forward to engage as many people as possible. It's really amazing what you guys are doing. I'm afraid I'm going to have to just stop you there. You got one more second.
Okay, the biggest thing that we've learned really is being able to work before and after the session with the girls. So with Dance for Change, our intention is that we get them the choreography and the steps before they even arrive, which we never would have done had it not been for COVID-19. And so though it's hard looking in the mirror at yourself dancing, but what it will do is give the girls time to do that before they get there. So hopefully that level of building self-worth starts way before, but we would not have implemented that had we had not learned that over the last 3 months, I must say.
Wonderful. Thank you, Nav.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you.
Our next presentation is from the Girls Network. The Girls Network's mission is to inspire and empower girls from the least advantaged communities by connecting them with a mentor and a network of professional female role models.
Hi, I'm Charlie Young, CEO and co-founder of the Girls Network, and I'm so excited to be able to share with you the membership of Impact 100 tonight. The Girls Network is a mentoring charity that matches 14 to 19-year-old girls from the least advantaged communities across the country with a mentor and a network of positive female role models. We work in partnership with schools in areas of greatest need, and we aim to build skills and confidence, but also to open up networks and opportunities that the girls otherwise wouldn't have access to, so they can be ambitious for their futures and then realise those ambitions. Because you cannot be what you cannot see. It was whilst teaching in a school in North West London that I first noticed the double disadvantage faced by the girls in my classroom. These were challenges born from the expectations placed on them to look a certain way and act a certain way, to pursue female careers or life choices, and those stemming from the fact that they knew no professional women or could see no one like them in the roles or the careers to which they might aspire. When I met Amy, she was 11 and told me excitedly of her dreams of becoming a scientist. But Amy's dad didn't want her to leave home to go to university, and her friends outside of school were studying health and beauty. And so when she joined my geography class aged 15 and I asked her about her plans, she told me it had been a stupid idea and not for someone like her. And it broke my heart. She had written herself out as the future she'd dreamed of because of who she was and where she came from. And there are thousands of girls just like Amy across the country. So we decided we had to do something about it, and that's where the mentoring program came in. We started with just 30 girls in 2013, but since grown to more than 1,000 each year. The girls are matched one-to-one with a female mentor, and also offered workshops, work experience, career roundtables, all aiming to improve their self-belief, their confidence and their opportunities for the future. Girls then become part of our lifelong ambassador network, where we want to support them for as long as they need, until they then come back as mentors for us themselves. In the current climate, we can't deliver our work face-to-face, but that's not stopping us. We'd piloted online services in 2019, and so we've been able to roll out these programs to over 2/3 of our girls. Since March, we've engaged in over 450 hours of mentoring sessions with girls. Samantha joined the mentoring program back in 2013, and she's now going to share some of her story with you.
Hi everyone, my name's Samantha. I'm an ambassador for the Girls Network charity. My life would be so different if I didn't have the Girls Network in my life. I definitely wouldn't be in the position I am today. It's made me driven as a person. I obviously joined the network because I wasn't able to have those connections when I was younger. And I wasn't even sure at that time that I wanted to be a lawyer. I just knew that I wanted to do something that was going to make me successful. And my mentor wasn't a lawyer, so it wasn't like I just went for it and she was a lawyer and she took me on the journey with her. I actually explored my options with her, and I worked out that I wanted to do law with my mentor. I would never have been able to work that out if I wasn't with someone like Tammy, who could have given me that exposure into the legal world. And I just don't think I would have had the exposure to the networks, to the things I have done with the networks. For example, I debated in Houses of Parliament. I was able to attend networking events. The best thing about the Girls Network has to be the ambassador program. So it's once the initial contact with the network finishes, and then the program that runs afterwards. So we was able to still keep in contact with our mentors and still be able to explore the field we wanted to work in. I definitely would love to give back to the charity and become a mentor and to mentor young girls. I would nothing more than love to do that. Even if I could change like a couple of girls' mindsets doing that, that to me is the most amazing thing. Just because you're from somewhere doesn't mean you can't go somewhere.
I want us to be able to support more young women like Samantha, and with your help we can. We have a growing number of girls entering the Ambassador Network, but at the moment we can only offer limited support as we do not have a dedicated member of staff or the resource to support the girls. This funding would allow us to recruit a programme manager to scale up our Ambassador programme across London over 3 years, to provide training and job opportunities, work experience workshops, and also more bespoke support. This is a pool of remarkable young women and talent, and to be able to provide learning opportunities, connections and support for that group of young women would be incredibly powerful. Think about the needs we have across business, politics, society, leadership, the places where women are underrepresented, and particularly those from the least advantaged communities. We could reach 600 girls across Greater London in Year 1 and more than 1,500 in Year 3. And we know that for each girl we work with, 4 more are affected: siblings, peers in the community or at school. This ripple effect has the capacity to change communities and to break the cycle of inequality. A network of girls and young women who really believe in themselves, in their worth and the possibilities open to them. Just think how that could transform our city, our society. Thank you.
Thank you, Charlie. What an extraordinary organisation you founded. I really love that "you can't be who you can't see" motto. So on to the questions for you. So the first question is about the demographics of the girls supported by the Girls Network. Can you tell us a little bit more about who the girls are?
Of course. So our mentees are girls aged 14 to 19 from low-income communities and families. They're a mix of backgrounds and ethnicities, and they're based across the London boroughs. We've had more than 400 mentees across London this year. Most of them are at high risk of becoming NEET, which means not in education, employment or training. And more than 2/3 of the girls on the programme are on free school meals, so as a sort of measure of poverty. The other girls in the programme are chosen by schools, and we work with the teachers to select them, and that's generally due to complex or severe circumstances. Some of them are carers in abusive homes, some have disabilities or real debilitating low self-esteem. So it's a real mix, and we try and have a sort of an encompassing understanding of what disadvantage is. But these are all girls and young women that don't have access to these opportunities and don't have the support that many of us take for granted.
Yeah, they really need you. Regarding the Ambassador programme specifically, have the Girls Network done a pilot to see how you might expand the programme if you were to get a grant from us?
Yeah, so we did a pilot a couple of years ago working with about 200 ambassadors, just looking at the ways in which the programme could run. Part of that was a needs assessment to understand from the girls what were their needs and how could we most support them and benefit them. What we found was there was a real demand for it with sort of proactive structured opportunities. Girls really wanted to be able to forge contacts and form relationships. Work experience and training opportunities came out as really key. So girls were going through the programme feeling really excited and confident about their futures, but then maybe a year or so later they were at university and they saw people who were going and doing internships or knew how to get where they wanted to go, and they didn't have access to those opportunities or the people to talk to enable them to do the same. So it's very much about that support for their next stage in education or employment or whatever it is. We also found there was a real thirst from the girls to work with and support each other, looking at how they could change their own environment or their own society, their own communities, and the issues that were really sort of key to them and close to their heart. A lot of them wanted to set up their own peer mentoring schemes or mentoring schemes for those younger than them in their schools and communities. And I think what became really clear was we know we have a huge impact in that 1 year, but there is so much more we can do, and we can amplify that impact so much by having that longer term support and really see massive transformation for the girls that we're working with.
Great, I think you've probably answered my final question, which was how would an Impact 100 grant transform the Ambassador programme specifically?
Yeah, so I think at the moment, I think at the moment, we have them there and they're eager and we try and do what we can, but really it's very limited and it's very ad hoc. But those numbers are growing because the girls are coming through the mentoring programme. And without the support and the resource, there's a huge pool of fantastic young women who are untapped, unsupported, desperate to keep learning and growing, but without those opportunities and that support. So this would help us to have that transformative effect.
Thank you, Charlie. That's brilliant.
Thank you.
So our final presentation is from Women's Trust. Women's Trust mission is to help any woman in London affected by domestic violence and abuse to overcome the mental and emotional harm and rebuild her life by providing women-only, client-led counselling and support service.
Hi, I'm Heidi, CEO of Women's Trust. We are delighted to have been shortlisted for your inaugural Impact 100 London Award. And I'm very proud to present this short video to tell you a bit more about us. Women's Trust was set up in 1996 by women to help other women. This is still at the very core of what we do. Our mission is to provide counseling and therapy to help women to deal with the psychological trauma caused by domestic abuse. We are small, but I'm proud that we have helped over 15,000 women in their recovery. We know we could help so many more women if we had the resources. And this is why I'm still so passionate about what we do.
You turn from a confident, independent, happy person into a wreck who doesn't want to live anymore.
Domestic abuse doesn't discriminate. It doesn't care about people's job titles, bank balances. It's not intimidated by religion or educational achievement. It can and it does happen to women who look like me and to women who look like you. It's insidious. Between 1 in 3 and 1 in 4 women will experience domestic abuse. If there are 120 women who are watching this film right now, and if you were the entire population of the UK, that could apply to 40 of you. And of those 40 women, 24 would have post-traumatic stress disorder as a result of the trauma they've experienced. Half of you would have depression. And sadly, 8 of you would attempt suicide as a way to escape your ordeal. Women's Trust offers free and confidential individual counselling, group therapy and self-development workshops. Often the women who come to us have little to no self-worth. They are depressed, they can't work, they can't cope, and they don't know why. And it's our job to help them to understand that what they're experiencing is a normal reaction after what they've been through, that what happened to them was not okay, most importantly that it wasn't their fault. Women's Trust is a movement. It's by women for women, and it's an amazing feeling to be part of that.
I have lots of anxiety. I suffer from depression.
We know the health service response to domestic abuse is inadequate. And that's the gap that Women's Trust has been filling for the last 25 years. We are unique in providing a mental health service for women survivors of domestic abuse. It's that niche which actually makes it really difficult to secure funding. Despite the overwhelming evidence that domestic abuse has a severe impact on mental health, there's no recognition of that at national level.
I've learnt to tackle my fears, my anxieties. There was a lot of shame and guilt. I'm not ashamed of those things anymore.
Our counselling and group therapy sessions are now being delivered by phone and video, keeping that vital mental health support available. But lockdown has made the situation even worse for women who are still in abusive relationship, who will be experiencing more frequent and more severe trauma. Many will be in controlling, violent relationships where they just can't get to the phone. These women will be suffering behind closed doors.
Even before the coronavirus pandemic, we were working at full capacity. And we know that the demand for our services is going to increase, maybe exponentially. And the problem is our funding shortfall. And what this means is that some women will have to wait, or even worse, won't be able to access at all.
When I finally came, the wonderful person just said to me, "You're in the right place." You become so isolated to be somewhere where people hold your hand through what invariably is the worst time of your life, and they help you to do that with dignity.
And this is why we need your help. Mental health for domestic abuse survivors is a tragic and serious but very hidden issue. Your grant would be used across the organization. By choosing Women's Trust, you are helping us to help more women. Women who desperately need support after experiencing some of the most heartbreaking and horrific things. The psychological trauma of domestic abuse affects women's lives and the lives of their children, often for many years, even decades, if they don't get the right help. Thank you.
Thank you, Heidi. There's so much in the media at the moment about domestic violence, and your unique approach in supporting women's mental health is quite profound. I do have a few questions. The first one, like I asked the previous two finalists, could you tell us a little bit more about the demographics of the women supported by Women's Trust, please?
Yes, sure. It may surprise you that we see women as young as 18 years old. The majority of the women who come to us fall into the age range of 26 and 45. But our oldest client was 84 years old when she finally came to us for help. It is important to us that our services reflect and are accessible to the communities we live in and serve in London. Our services are provided across London. We are linked up to a huge network of referral agencies that is in the voluntary sector, but also from statutory bodies. Around 45% of our clients are British, Irish or Caucasian, but 42% are non-white, predominantly Black with 19%, followed by Asian with just under 15%. And that's because, and it reflects that this is an issue that affects women from all backgrounds. Although 32% of the women who we saw in the last year were unemployed, the majority of the women who come to us are working in some capacity. Often we actually see women in very successful careers, but their partners control their finances, which is why it's really important that our services are free. So no one has to miss out because they can't afford vital mental health support. And this matters too to women. Our clients, they're telling us how important it is to them to be within a diverse group, so that they don't feel it's just something that happens to them. It's just happening to someone in their age or within their ethnicity, for example.
Thank you. Very sobering. We understand that given COVID-19, not all of your previous beneficiaries have been able to engage with you, but you have then been able to take women off your waiting list and provide them with services. What happens in terms of the organisation's capacity constraints when both groups need to be supported when we hopefully go back to normality soon? How will you prioritise the women?
Yeah, it's true. Coronavirus has had an impact on women's ability to continue with services, and this had many reasons, but some of them it's because they're living with the abuser, or they may have childcare issues, so counseling therapy is just not practical for them at the moment. We were working at full capacity before lockdown, and as well as we will be seeing women returning to our services, we are anticipating also an increase in demand of 30%, which is really significant in funding and delivery terms. But my team is committed to helping as many women as we can. And to preempt this extra need, we have already sought and secured the first wave of funding to help us increase our capacity, so we can help more women. And we are waiting feedback for more bids we have put out. In terms of prioritizing women, slots will become available on a rolling basis as women finish their therapy. which takes usually 10 to 18 weeks for the counseling and 8 weeks for our therapeutic groups. The women who have put counseling on hold at the moment will be prioritized when they come back, but so will be women who are presenting us in crisis or feeling suicidal, all of which we will pick up at the assessments we do with clients. We have secured additional funding to maintain also regular checkups with those clients who are on the waiting list at the moment. We will assess every woman so we can prioritize our resources and fairly and effectively.
Great, thank you. And given that you have had to take much of the programme online or onto the phone, do you foresee that you'll be doing more of this in the future as your part of your general offering?
Yes, absolutely. The telephone counseling and virtual service delivery will be definitely part of our future, our offering in the future. We were already exploring this before the lockdown, but ultimately this has now been accelerated, our plans. And I'm pleased to say that our clients have found, while this is not the perfect substitute for face-to-face counseling, it has been really successful and helped women who were suffering with extreme isolation and anxiety in particular. It also means we can reach more women for whom it's just not practical to get to our offices and venues, whether it's because of caring commitments, working hours, or restricted mobility, for example. And we are really happy that we will be able to reach more women who need our help. It will also make it easier to attract and retrain counselors for the project, as they will be able to work flexibly. And certainly also reduce some of our overheads where we don't have to pay for meeting facilities or subsidize travel for clients, which we do for those clients who need hardship. However, just given the nature of domestic abuse and the relationship and trust between the clients and the therapist, which is really important, face-to-face interaction will always be key and maintained with our services where we can. It's an important way also for women to meet other women, to bond over their shared experiences and don't feel isolated.
Thank you, Heidi. Amazing what you're doing. Amazing.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Heidi. So thank you to all our amazing finalists. I'll now pass you back to Lainey.
Thank you, Anila. Those presentations were all so illuminating and really enhancing of our understanding of the critical needs each of these charities are addressing. And now the moment has arrived. It is time to vote. The decision is going to be difficult, I promised you, but the process is very, very easy. In a minute, we're going to ask you to go to the email that we sent you earlier that we had you check on. You have a unique election runner voting ID. Simply click through that and it should take you exactly to the ballot. Again, any issues, put it in the chat. We will be able to sort you out. We want everyone to have the opportunity to have a say this evening. What we are asking you to do is select just one of these worthy finalists to receive our £100,000 grant award. There is no right answer, and thanks to all of you, no wrong answer. Because our membership exceeded our targeted 100 people, each of our runners-up will be receiving £15,000 grant tonight. Math doesn't quite work, but we are benefiting from gift aid. You will also see a question on your ballot regarding our next grant cycle. We would love to be able to count you in for renewing your commitment to Impact 100 London and joining us for the 2020-21 grant cycle. If you're not currently a member, we would love for you to join as well. And we would be so delighted if you would just send us a message in the chat and we'll follow up with you directly. So as soon as the slide changes, you're going to see a timer and that will be the beginning of our 5 minutes to submit your vote. So please, we're beginning now.
So we're just getting the final votes in. So thank you very much, everybody, for voting. It's going to take us a couple of minutes just to collate the results. Just so you know, of our 118 members, I think actually somebody might have joined as we have been on today, but so 119 members, over 85% of us have voted today, either live or by absentee ballot. So thank you, that's incredible engagement and we're so grateful. We'd also like to know a little bit more about you. If you haven't already, it would be wonderful if you could fill out our membership survey, which was sent out in the recent newsletter. And I believe the link is going to be added in the chat now, so you could complete it whilst we're waiting. This has really been an amazing experience for all of us, but we could not have done it without the assistance of a few key individuals who played an integral role in this very short cycle. Many of these are founding members. So on behalf of the leadership team, I'd like to take this opportunity to say a special thank you to a few people. Edie Lush for all her assistance in preparing our finalists for this evening and those powerful videos. Stacey Arnovitz and Sabine Chatin, who played a critical roles on our grants committee, which was led by the indomitable Liz Ivazian. Amber Freeth for her indispensable assistance with all things technical. Vera Losconi and Martha Hurst for the same in the legal realm. Bambi Mavin for advising us on our communications strategy, and Daniela Barrera and Kitchen 8 for assistance with our branding strategy. Thank you. We really couldn't have done it without you. I'll now pass you on to Erica.
Hello, I'm going to start that again. We actually needed a little extra time because we're still tallying votes, so that worked out really well. We mentioned at the outset that as a leadership team, we have developed a strong relationship with all three of these charities, and that does not end today. As you all know, our £100,000 grant, it will be dispersed over 3 years. We'll be monitoring and evaluating the impact of our funding and communicating that back to you, our members. We look forward to continuing our relationship with all three of these amazing charities, and we'll be updating our members regularly through our newsletters and on social media. In the next month, we'll be profiling each of our three finalists. We want you to have the opportunity to continue to get to know them, to understand how you might get further involved, either as a donor, as a volunteer, contributing your unique talents and skills, if you so wish. And of course, we will be inviting our inaugural grant recipient back in the coming months and years so that we can all hear about their progress and the difference our grant has made to their organization and their beneficiaries. So with that, we are about to come up with the result. Okay, I want Lainey back on the screen, please, because here we are. The moment that we've all been waiting for. We have the results. Drum roll, please. It is with great pleasure that I announce, I'm checking my phone again, our £100,000 inaugural grant goes to the Women's Trust. Congratulations. And I want to say a huge congratulations to the Girls Network and to the Change Foundation as well. Such fantastic organizations. We're looking forward to following you both, and we're so pleased that we could introduce you to our members and everyone on the call tonight. So I'd like now to invite Heidi, the Executive Director of Women's Trust, to come on. Hi, Heidi. Congratulations. And
hi. Oh my God. Thank you so much. I'm truly humbled and quite emotional, and very honored that you have chosen Women's Trust out of so equally worthy peers. I think the women's sector is working hard, individual and really collectively, more so now, and I appreciate this has been really a tough decision. Now from Change Foundation and Charlie from Girls Network, we are in true admiration of the work you do. I would like to sincerely thank you, all the members, for voting for us. We are absolutely amazed by Impact 100, your concept and the focus you're taking, and are extremely grateful that you have taken us through this process. Your support will have an immense impact, helping us to reach many more women to recover from the mental health effects of domestic abuse. And it will change lives and the lives of the children of these women too. Thank you.
I also want to say a huge congratulations to Heidi and to the Women's Trust, and also to all three organizations who are all so deserving. And I very much look forward to the opportunity to follow how our funds are making an impact with each of these charities. We have found the last few months to be incredibly rewarding. Thanks to all of our founding members for your confidence and trust in us as we launched Impact 100 London as a permanent philanthropic organization. This has been a very short and very intense pilot cycle. It was already, but then in addition to the environment that we've been working in, created a few interesting new skills to be developed. We're already getting very excited for our next cycle. We plan to have an annual grant cycle running from July to June going forward. We're looking forward to getting many more of you involved directly in our process. There's incredible talent within our ranks and our membership, as well as passion to make profound and positive differences in the lives of women and girls in London. Together, we can learn about and invest in many more amazing charities. And there is great need, which we've heard from these three amazing charities, and there's so many others. So there's no better place for us to put our funds than right here in London. The next cycle will begin shortly. Stay tuned. And with that, I guess we want to sign off. And Erica, I guess from both of us, a real thank you to everyone, and including obviously the executive team, which has been phenomenal.
Thank you so much. Good night, and we'll hopefully see you soon live, not on video. Thank you.
Right.